Alright everyone, Cowboy Trades here, welcome back to the channel. Let's do a quick update on KDA. So, since our last video on Kadena 7 days ago, the price action has dropped 12% from our 3x entry, meaning that we're currently sitting in round about 36% profit on this trade. I am going to amend something in this trade. I'm going to incorporate a stop loss in the profit. More about that in a second. Let's talk about the oscillators, momentum indicators, how the markets are moving right now, and where do I think Kadena is moving to, and more importantly, how quickly do I think we can come down to our take profit. Let's talk about all of this and more. So starting off on the daily time frame, where we left you off about a week ago, we were letting you know obviously that we had just reverted back to the mean on the top of the EMA ribbons round about 112, and what do you know, price action went up to 113 and absolutely started nuking to the downside. So we pretty much nailed the entry on this. As you can see, we pushed up just above the long-term moving average. The previous time that we did this was over here, $2.50. We just poked our head above the long-term moving average here at $1.77. And if you've been watching the channel for a while, you'll remember basically exactly a month ago, we entered a trade round about 140 and 135, and we shorted this on a 10x leverage, collectively 2 trades pushing down in 2.8x profit individually. Now, once again, this is why we entered the trade in our last video, poked our head above the 112 entry and started rocketing to the downside. Now, in terms of the reversion to the mean, you can already see, I mean, looking at the EMA ribbons, we've started to heavily fall underneath them. On a lot of exchanges, we went down to about 95 or 96 cent, which is below the short-term moving average of the EMA ribbons. And you can also see the EMA ribbons got pretty wide while we were waiting for a trade. As it came up, entered the short, EMA ribbons are starting to tighten right now, which is telling me that a major move is probably going to be incoming within the next week. More about that in a second. There's a lot of economic data that is coming out this week. I have talked about this on my channel, but this is definitely going to cause knee-jerk reactions in the market, which is why I'm going to be incorporating the stop loss that I'll tell you about in just one second. However, looking at momentum indicators, looking at your oscillators, it pretty much looks like we've already completed this uptrend and we're really starting this new downtrend. Now, over on the daily time frame, the stock RSI is really heading down very strongly. We're sitting around about 40 approximately, and we do have more room to move to the downside. Over on the money flow index, you can currently see that we approached about 76, and if we draw a trend line of best fit, boom, you can see something like this. If I connect it to this peak, we have run up into a volume overextension on the market. And it's not just the volume overextension in terms of the cryptocurrency markets, your Bitcoins, your Kadenas. If you do watch the channel, you do know that I do like to talk about, stock market conditions. And, 2 hours ago and also 4 days ago, we were talking about liquidity conditions in the stock market, and the stock market's overextended, Bitcoin's overextended, Kadena's overextended. So I'm sitting very peachy and very comfy in my KDA short at this moment in time. So money flow index looks very overextended to me, and it looks like we want to head to the downside. And over on the squeeze momentum indicator, like we highlighted, I mean, look at this huge run up in the squeeze mom, weaker run up, weaker run up, weaker run up. You've just got lower lows, lower highs all across the board. And once again, you can see something like this, line of best fit. You are still in a downtrend, and we are flipping into dark green on the squeeze momentum indicator, indicative that we are about to enter our next bearish capitulation to the downside. Now, if I come over to the let's do it on the daily time frame. Daily time frame looks a lot cleaner. It also looks like we're starting to break down from a bear flag pattern. Now, there's quite a few different patterns playing out on Kadena right now. We're actually going to look at head and shoulders in just one second. But you can see this beautiful bear flag that we have broken to the downside of. If we were to retest the neckline of this, the uptrending line of support, flip resistance, we could definitely see a push up to round about 105. I personally wouldn't be counting on it. Would I be longing like a 5-cent move? Absolutely not. I'm sitting in my short right now, but it does look like we are breaking to the downside of this. If we do look at the price target of this breakdown from this bear flag, you can see about a 54-cent drop. And if we see if there's any other confluence with any of our other price targets, we do have confluence in the volume profiles around about 50, but 54 is kind of just round the middle of these volume profiles. So we could definitely see a magnet region round about 50 cent. This is obviously a higher time frame price target, not my price target for the immediate short term. I'll reiterate where I'm taking profit in just one moment. And you can also see, looking at this head and shoulders pattern that we talked about in our previous video, we drew this slightly differently than before. We originally had the neckline as this flat line over here, but then we looked and we saw, candle body closes, left shoulder, candle body closes, head, candle body closes, right shoulder, and then when you approach the neckline, you absolutely capitulated beneath the floorboards, came back up, retested the neckline, and once again, this is just another signal, you know, pair this with the other TA, pair this with the bear flag breakdown, pair this with the oscillators. Everything for Kadena right now looks like we are getting ready to break down to the downside. Now, before I talk about my amendment, or not amendment, my slight fix that I've done in my KDA trade, I would very much like to highlight, if you do watch the channel and you only watch my altcoin videos, you may not know that the stock market has a very, very important week right now. And this is mainly coming in the form of what's going on tomorrow over on Tuesday, because if you didn't know, we have headline inflation and core inflation for the US being updated. I have made a video on this on my channel already, and I do believe if you want to know more about my inflation expectations for tomorrow, you can check out this video, This Week in Crypto. We looked at a couple of different metrics. We looked at what the Chicago Fed is currently predicting for the inflation forecast, and it's looking like inflation is likely to come in hotter than expected. So I'm definitely expecting a lot of knee-jerk reactions in the market in the next few days or so, which is why I will be incorporating a stop loss in my trade. So let's talk about that stop loss. Once again, Tuesday, CPI numbers. Wednesday, we've got the next FOMC meeting. So definitely expect a lot of incoming volatility in the market. So like we said, 7 days ago, well, 7 days ago, we entered the trade. 11 days ago, we talked about the trade setup, and obviously price came right up to our entry point and started to break down to the downside. Now, we have had a pretty nasty swing back down since then. We broke down about 14%, but as of the time of recording, we are down about 12%, which of course means on our 3x leverage short, we are in 36% profit approximately. Now, as we're in 36% profit, I want to make sure that even in the worst case scenario, let's say, you know, the videos that I made this week talking about my inflation forecast, let's say I was completely wrong about all of this. Let's say economic data turns out in a way which I wasn't anticipating and the markets reverse on me. I want to make sure that our 36% profit is not going to turn into a loss. So what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be setting a stop loss right on this wick right here. Now, I thought about moving a stop loss just to the top of this trend here. But I know these altcoins, they love to just slightly push up above these, wipe people out, wipe the bears out, and then come back down and wipe the longs out. So at this moment in time, I will be putting my I will be putting my stop loss approximately here at $1.09. So let's move the stop loss down right here. So what this means is from our entry point, if you entered at the same point as me, 112, if we do break down, that's going to be approximately a 3% profit. Of course, we're on a 3x leverage. So this is going to be meaning worst case scenario, my inflation outlook is incorrect. The economic data comes out and, you know, really pushes me out of the water and I was wrong. We're at least going to be walking away with a 9% profit on this trade, which is completely fine with me. I would just like to highlight, I'm extremely confident sitting in my KDA trade right now. I do not believe that we're going to come up to our stop loss. But the reason why us, the Cowboy family, are successful traders is because we never let a profitable trade go against us. So, you know, when we're currently sitting in 36% profit, there's no way I'm going to be walking away with, you know, less than 9% profit. There's no way it's going back to break even. There's no way it's going to 36% profit and then it's going to turn against me and liquidate me. But nonetheless, like I said, I mean, you can look at a lot of different metrics. You know, we've retested the head and shoulders, oscillators are heading down. If you do look at the stock market right now, it pretty much looks like we're completing a micro 2 wave on the Elliott wave count before we do push down for another low. You know, once again, head and shoulders for Kadena, oscillators breaking down, the bear flag is breaking down. We've just completed a reversion to the mean. I really do not think that we are going to push up to my stop loss, but nonetheless, worst case scenario, this is going to be a very important week in terms of economic data, so let's make sure we're prepared for either situation. Now, has my take profit changed? Has anything changed in terms of this trade? Absolutely not. I still am looking at the volume profile cluster all the way down here at 69 cent, which as you can see is my take profit. This is going to be meaning if we do come down to this 69 cent, that will be a 40% profit on a 1x leverage, meaning this will be about a 1.2x return on our 3x short. So I'm definitely sitting very peachy in my trade right now, very comfortable sitting in that 36% profit. It looks like we're heading down. Oscillators are heading down. Stock market looks weak. Government bonds are pushing up. DXY still looks strong to me and it's still in an uptrend. And once again, economic data coming out this week could mean a lot of knee-jerk reactions in lots of different directions. But as a general rule of thumb, if we do look at the volume profiles once again for Kadena, just before we do wrap up this video, you can really see this range right here is where we've been residing for quite some time, between $1.06 all the way down to Actually, no, this volume cluster down here at 88 cent. Bear in mind, this chart over here on Bittrex is very, very knee-jerk. It said we went down to 30 cent and all the way up to 129. That is not the case on most exchanges. We actually went up to 113, and over on here, we went down to about 78 cents. So, you know, we've more or less just been sitting in this tiny volume cluster here, being held up by this 89 cent level. But in my opinion, once we do lose this 89 cent level, it's going to be almost straight curtains pushing us down to this 69 cent volume cluster, and we could even push down to, you know, 50 cent and also hit the price target of this head and shoulders round about the 55 cent or 68 cent rather. The 55 cent was the price target of this bear flag right here. But nonetheless, just a quick update, letting you know what I'm doing in my KDA trade. Sitting very peachy right now, very confident that we're breaking down to lower levels. That's all I've got for this video, my friends. If anything changes, I will let you know, but for today, that's all I've got. As always, if you do enjoy the content, make sure to hit that like button, share the videos with your friends, leave a comment down below. As always, my friends, Cowboy out. Peace.